Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. And again, I do my best to stay on an even keel, to stay calm about the whole thing. But every time I turn around, in spite of doing my best to avoid watching the news and listening to a lot of the garbage that's out there, there's a lot of really, really ill thought out comments about how we should be dealing with this whole COVID thing. Now, who am I to talk to you about what to do? Well, quite frankly, self-proclaimed and um, both self-proclaimed and ratified by a number of clients, not the least in rough estimation, about 80,000 people over my career, have told me that I've got an understanding of what's going on. Well, here's the thing. Some of the most intelligent people that I know, or at least I thought so, have been turning around and making some of the most ill thought out concepts as to what to do with COVID 19. We have to understand it doesn't matter where it came from. I do understand wholeheartedly the issue of finance, the issue of being worried about the economy and what have you. Well, here's the thing. Number one, the government, regardless of what you think of them, is doing what they can. Okay, they are making extra funds available, and don't ask me where they got them from. Obviously, it came from taxes somewhere along the line. But since they're making it available, they're doing what they can. Many companies are stepping up to the plate and shifting gears, so they're going into mail order, they're going into takeout, this sort of thing, or delivery, home delivery. So the fact you're being asked to stay away, to stay away from people, to stay home, to keep the social isolation there, the social distancing in place. Is this really unreasonable? Is the economy affected? Absolutely. Let's get it straight, people. The economy that you had, the world that you knew, is gone. It is not a question of it's coming back. It's not going back to the way it was. That part is over. Now, my biggest contention right this moment, okay, is twofold. One is this concept of people still coming off with the idea that COVID 19 is a flu like virus. Well, it's flu like in as much as it's a virus. And like any virus, it cannot jump if you're not around people. Okay, the problem with COVID is it's gone airborne. From my understanding, the recent reports say that if you're out and about and you're infected, asymptomatic infected, meaning there are no symptoms, you don't even know if you're carrying. Okay, so if you're out there and you sneeze outside, or for that matter, quite frankly, in your own house, that virus will hang in the air. Now, what I understand is it's got a 3-day life shelf right now, or shelf life. This said, in 3 days, that sneeze outside can end up in another area altogether. Okay, go back when Mount St. Helens blew up. I think it was 1986. I'm up in Kelowna, BC. The ash from that got to us up in Kelowna, BC, and it's somewhere down. Mount St. Helens is somewhere down in Washington State. I'm not good on geography, so look up where it is. Point being, it travels. Now, major governments around the world are telling you isolate yourself, step back, get the social distancing and what have you, and people are stepping up and working on the economy. But there are politicians out there that need to have their minds really examined by themselves or by somebody else. This push that I just found out about yesterday, okay, for us now, the government, the federal government has said, federal governments in many countries have said, isolate to protect yourselves. We've got minor politicians that are standing in cities around the world going, the economy's in trouble. We need to get to cut off the social distancing. We have to get back to the way things were. You're not going back to the way things were. This absolutely bizarre idea of having a meeting among city officials in a public place and asking for lots of people to come to that area when social distancing has been said and is quite frankly proven to cut down on the spread of the virus. These people really need to look at what they're doing. Are they actually interested in your health, or are they more interested in the bottom dollar? Now, I've put it down on other videos. Okay, now I've got, this is number 4 in the series. Okay, and all I've called the series, quite frankly, is COVID-19, Wake Up, or more to the point, Wake Up Call. This is number 4. Okay, these geniuses that are out there, and I'll use that term really loosely, that have this brilliant idea they know better, that the economy needs help. Here's a cute thought for you. Let's get everybody back together and get business back the way it was and see how many people we can kill off. What do you think? Good idea? Because I'll tell you, that's what you're aiming for. Okay, it's kind of like if you see how your next door neighbor's house is on fire, hopefully it isn't. Okay, here's a good way to contain it. How about if we spread kerosene on your own wall and see what happens? And don't take that seriously. I'll tell you what'll happen. You'll spread the fire. You won't put it out. You'll spread the fire, and if the fire wasn't going to go there, it will. Okay. Now I've heard people tell me that it doesn't. That this isn't. This is all fake. I had one really bright individual tell me that the COVID-19 virus is nothing but a computer virus. Well, that's a pretty serious computer virus. It's killing people. But for pity's sakes, pull your head out of the sand. Understand, getting close to people is a good way to spread the virus. Okay, now we can always go back and recreate. There's a lot of recreations that happen. I know down in the States they've got a couple of recreations that go on a regular basis, like on a yearly basis, for the battle, the War of Independence or that sort of thing. Okay, and I really don't know much about them because I don't watch them. I don't pay much attention to the history of that sort of thing, but I do know this. The recreation of history, that right now, you people that are going out and joining each other and meeting up, regardless of whether you think you're better than everybody else or you know better than the professionals, regardless of that, you guys are trying to recreate the bubonic plague, the Black Death. Look it up. You're on the internet anyway. Look the thing up. See what kind of a mess that is. Now, I do my best to follow what they're telling, what the professionals are saying. Now, granted, I don't do everything. I am not a germaphobe. Okay, I'm really not. I mean, take a look at my apartment behind me. Like, this is my office. This isn't exactly the most sanitary place I've ever seen. On the other hand, I'm not about to go out and start telling people, let's all gather in public. Let's get together. Let's get thousands of people together. Am I a spiritual guide? You bet. Am I a minister? Absolutely. Became a minister some 30 years ago now, I guess. Maybe 40. I don't know. I think 80. I don't know. A number of years back. Okay. Now, this said, am I going to tell you that, do I believe in God? You bet. Do I know much about the other religions? Enough to know that they all essentially work the same way. So whatever you do, don't take offense to it. I will be, as time goes on here, I'm going to be looking into some more of them anyway, just to find the common ground here. And like most of you, I speak one language at this point, really. Okay, I speak English. Not well, but I do speak it. So pass this on. Please, pass it on to the people you know. Help them get an understanding of what I'm saying. This whole idea of the economy is in trouble, the economy is a mess. It will never go back to where it was. Forget it. It's not going. Okay, you cannot go back. That's just the reality. And the people that you're trusting your life to, the ones you're trusting to put the laws in place, ask yourself this: not are they reacting fast enough, but are they acting in reasonable patterns? Well, that came out well. In reasonable patterns to make things to help keep you healthy and help keep your friends healthy. Is this what they're doing? Or are they more interested in the bottom line of their own bank book and the bottom line of the bank books of the people that already have money? Now, I will tell you this. Yes, the economy has slowed down. But you know, the poor people, the people on the street, the working poor, they haven't noticed a lot of it. I mean, they know it's there, but it hasn't done a lot to their bank book. They were already struggling. I do feel for you people that have multi-million-dollar homes that used to be worth $1.5 million and have dropped down to being worth less than $1 million. Okay, let me tell you, if I had $1 million home, I'd be happier than heck. However, I'm living in a home and running my office out of a home that costs me $1,000 a month. That's a tight fit. Okay, I'm lucky. I've been here for 8 years. Therefore, thankfully, I don't pay that much. Okay, so let's get real, shall we? Pull your head out of the sand, realize you're not going back to the way things were. Some businesses are starting to try and open. They are following if they're intelligent, they're following very strict protection lines as far as numbers of people, as far as how they're doing it. You don't have to believe me. Okay, you really don't. But it's kind of like going, you don't have to believe somebody that if you step off a balcony, you're going to hit the floor 14 floors below, given that you're on the 14th floor. Okay, you don't have to believe that, but it might be an idea to take it into consideration. In this case, we are talking about a pandemic. For the first time in recorded history, okay, every government that knows about it is working essentially on the same thing. Now, I caught wind that we still have some governments that are arguing with whether or not to work with each other. This is just plain stupid. Okay, and I do mean that quite literally. You know better. If you're a member of any government anywhere on the planet, anywhere, and you've got the opportunity to share information on how to contain this, how to stop it, how to protect people, then for pity's sakes, get your ego out of the way and start working with people. For those of you that are sitting in office right now, this is where you quit looking at the bottom dollar from the standpoint of we've got to get back to work. Take the protection out of the equation. I heard somebody came up with a brilliant idea. They said, if we isolate too long, our immune systems are going to collapse. That happens over years, not weeks and months. Okay, if it happened over weeks and months, you would find that people that were out at sea on maneuvers for months at a time would run into problems. Okay, that ain't the way, because then you're in an isolated ecosystem. Now, the reality is it takes years. Okay, and there are all sorts of ways that you can improve your immune system. There's a lot of information out there. You're looking at a video, you're listening to me. Thank you very much for that. If what I'm saying rings true for you, or if it doesn't for that matter, it would be appreciated if you would like my video, subscribe to my channel so that you find out when the next videos are coming out. Okay, and share it with everybody you can. My goal is real simple. Okay, since I basically made the decision a couple of days ago that it was time for me to step out of the closet, step out of the woodwork, and finally do what I came here to do. Help you people get your heads back on straight. Realize the only thing I have to gain, quite frankly, is bringing my own blood pressure down when I'm not talking about this. But frankly, it annoys me that people can be that selfish and that short-sighted to think, oh, it won't happen to me. You know, I'm loved by God, so it won't happen to me. Well, if God created everything, you got to realize two major factors. One, this virus is partly his doing, and you can blame it on Satan, but let's understand, and I'm talking on a Christian standpoint, I don't know enough about the other religions to give you their names for it. But understand, you want to blame Satan, let's remember, God created everything. Therefore, God created Satan. Okay, you can't have one or the other. It has to be, it's an all or nothing gambit. Now, that said, COVID-19, regardless of where it came from, is here. Getting out of your house, yes, it's kind of important. You're going stir crazy. I can understand that. But this is why you go for a walk in a local area. Stay away from people. Okay, like keep your social distancing. Okay, if you want outside, most people that have a house also have a front yard they can have a yard they can sit in to get some sunlight. Greatest thing on the planet. Between that and proper uplifting music, that will help with that. And there's a lot of options out there as far as people to talk to. Okay, people to communicate with to help you deal with the anxiety of being locked up. Okay, but understand, being locked up, at least you're still breathing. You get out there, we remove these protections that the federal governments around the world are putting in place. Okay, okay, when you have local governments going, forget the federal things. Let's push to have the whole door opened. It's a brilliant idea. Now, I don't know where these people get their ideas from, but I'll tell you, it must be from either suicide is us or murder for hire. I don't know. But the reality of it is this. If you're staying isolated, your chances of getting the virus collapse. If you're going out and amongst people, your chances of picking it up skyrocket. And if you happen to be asymptomatic, you're not even going to know if you're killing the people near you. Now, you are correct. There's those of you listening to this going, well, there aren't that many deaths from it. No. So what do you want? 2 million dead on the street so that you can see it's killing people? Okay, I mean, what are you looking for? You looking for somebody to say, it's all gone, we're all fine, and this is just a bad dream? Well, guess what? It's not. It's a living nightmare. Okay, this idea that we can just go back to the way it was is not going to happen. Okay, the way it was is gone. Get it through your head. It's like you used to be, theoretically, you used to be like only yay tall off the table, probably couldn't stand up when you were born, and you used to walk around in diapers. My guess is if you're listening to this, you're no longer doing any of that. Your childhood is gone. You're not going back to it. The way society was, it's over. Okay, you're looking at a new world. Now, you know this neat little thing, and I'll just sidetrack that for a second. This neat thing called the New World Order. Let's scrap whatever you knew about it. The New World Order is here. It's got nothing to do with the politics. It has to do with the fact that COVID-19 is here. Whether you believe it or not is irrelevant. You don't have to believe in gravity for it to kill you. And for those of you that still go, well, if you can't see it, it can't kill you. How many people have been hit by cars that they didn't see coming? Okay. How many people in war were taken out by snipers? They certainly never saw the bullet coming. So get it through your head, regardless of what your local politicians are telling you. Get it through your head. They clearly are missing the boat. Because the virus is there whether you like it or not, whether you believe it, whether you agree with it, it will not matter. Doesn't matter who you worship, what your bank account looks like, doesn't matter what your orientation is, your gender, your age, none of it matters. COVID-19 doesn't actually check your information on the internet. Okay, we are talking about a biological organism that is killing people across the board. Now, whether it's killing one or whether it's killing none, hopefully you're one of the lucky ones that doesn't know somebody personally that has either had it or is suffering from it, and worse, has died from it. Now, I was fortunate enough to meet somebody the other day that had jumped on the bandwagon very early when they first got the first symptom. They did what they were instructed and then went a little overboard. They got the first symptom. They couldn't get to the hospital because of where they were, but they did the first thing they were supposed to. The first hint, they went, oh, I might have COVID, so I'm going to stay home. Okay, now, you're told at least my understanding is, we've all been told, stay home for 2 weeks to start with, we'll play it by ear. This guy was way back when it first happened, when it first surfaced. And he goes, I might have it, so I'm isolating. The day he got the first symptom, right, he asked his wife to go down to the grocery store, pick up a month's worth of food and supplies, because he was locking the doors as soon as she got home. And they were going to be isolated. Not for 2 weeks. He isolated himself and his wife for 3 weeks. Thankfully, she was unharmed. He, on the other hand, went through the entire array of symptoms, complete with the fever, the troubles breathing, the whole 9 yards. He never made it to the hospital, but he did survive it. Okay, his own immune system and the care his wife fortunately was able to give him herself helped him get back on his feet, and he isolated himself completely for 3 weeks, not 2, 3. Then, when I met him, I was out for a walk in the park. As I mentioned, this is a good idea. But as I got close to him, he didn't go with the 6 foot distance. I said good morning to him from across the way, and he immediately turned around and told me to stop where I was. He was willing to talk, but he wanted me to stay away, right? And he explained this whole thing to me. We stayed about 10 to 15 feet away, which yes meant we had to talk a little louder. But as he explained it, he wasn't certain he had the virus, but he was erring on the side of caution. Just wanted to make sure nobody else did get it if he still carried it. This is called intelligent thinking. Going out and congregating. I don't care whether it's because some politician thinks he's brighter than everybody else, and that the economy needs you rushing out and meeting each other. Understand, you go out and you meet each other. Here's the side effect. You go out, you meet each other, you open your business up, you get people coming in, everybody congregates, we ignore the social distancing thing, and your staff and your patrons die. Yeah, that's going to help the economy. Well, it'll help the undertakers, but they don't really want the business. Oddly enough, they really don't. I've talked to some of them. They would just assume that whether they were out of business, but somebody's got to deal with it. And you can look at it, you can stick your head in the sand and keep telling people we need the economy up and running. Well, the economy is up and running. It's just moved from going out to get your coffee or to going out to dinner, if you still want to do that, to ordering in. Okay. There are people on the front line that deserve the greatest pat on the back. They're putting their lives on the line in order to keep you safe. And then we have genius politicians that are going, and I mean the local ones, the federal government. Whether you like them, whether you don't, is irrelevant. Whether they're loudmouths, whether you figure that they're questionable in what they're doing, they are doing their best to protect you. Now, am I going to go down to a meeting and catch up with people like that and go, "Are you out of your mind?" No. I'll just take it for granted they are. It does not make sense to me. But the economy has turned to more of an inside. Now, I can see a number of things happening. For instance, obviously, mail order is going through the roof. But you're going to find the import and export issues at this point are going to shift as well. So if you're in that industry, understand with the way things are changing, you're going to have to start looking at getting closer to the idea of manufacturing back at home. Things like, it may cost you a little more locally. Okay, you may not be able to hire people for 2 cents on the dollar. Terrible, isn't it? Money is not the be all and end all. Get it straight. I don't care if you're in business. I got my own business. Money is not the be all and end all. It is a side effect of good business. Okay, it's a side effect of keeping your staff alive, of keeping your clients alive. Just take my word for it. Dead people don't buy products. They just don't. Okay, they hang around a lot, but they do not buy a thing, and they certainly aren't going to give you money for it. So, with that in mind, Okay, we are talking about a very simple issue. Okay, society is changing. And the economy, yes, it's shifted. It's a little low right now, but things are starting to move again. Right on schedule, they are starting to get into a rhythm. The question of, are you going to go back to the way things were? Not much of a prayer. And personally, I hope you don't. I spent decades praying for something that would get mankind working together. And for the first time in recorded history, governments around the world are saying the same thing. Stay home, build inside the home, get your businesses. Here's a little bit of money to try and keep your household running so you don't end up going bankrupt. And rest assured, that's a very big, real problem for a lot of people. Governments are out there going, this is a way that we're trying to help. We're trying to get the economy up and running. Let's get a little bit moving. But the economy is there. Okay, you're on the internet. There is such a thing as mail order, and they're still doing that. Yes, there are problems with it, absolutely. But the economy is there. So quit bellyaching about the fact that your business isn't running the way it was. Some businesses cannot survive, and they will not survive with the new way the world is going to run. Okay, and I do feel for those that have that problem. But for the politicians that are saying we have to remove the quarantine, we have to get people back into the workforce. The people are already in the workforce. Quit trying to kill off your constituents. That's what it boils down to. And dead constituents, by the way, don't vote either. Okay, they don't vote, they don't buy, they're pretty much pointless where it comes to the economy. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely feel for the people that are losing people because of COVID or other related situations. Okay, now I'm keeping these down. These videos are down around the half-hour mark for a reason. So again, contacting me is easy. There's a list of ways to contact me down below this video. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, please. Pass it on to everybody you can. We have to get this message out. And yes, I do apologize. It took me a long time to get my feet off the ground and actually start doing this. But, for better or for worse, I made a decision that I'm not going back on. Okay, the reality is, you people out there need to understand the world is not what it was. It's not going back to what it was. So it's time to adapt to it. It's time to change. Okay, until we talk again, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.